Dan, thanks so much for joining us. So I'm here with Dan Holme, Principal Product Group Manager for Viva Engage. Did I get it right?
Close enough. It's wonderful to be with you, Peter. It's always great to see you. Thanks for having me.
So day 2 of M365 conference. The keynotes are done, but you're still on tap just after lunch?
Yep, still have more sessions to share what we're doing with Viva Engage with customers, and then an Ask Me Anything. So sort of like a firing squad from the attendees.
Yeah. You don't know what. I kind of like those.
I do too.
You just kind of go on the cuff and
yeah, exactly.
And away you go. So for those of the folks that aren't aware, Viva Engage is the new Yammer. Like, this is not a new product, but it's very much an evolving product.
Exactly. So we're rebranding Yammer to Viva Engage, and that means that no migration necessary, by the way. Yammer users will seamlessly transition into Viva Engage. We've already rebranded the app in Teams and Outlook and on mobile. And in June, we're rebranding the app on web and the SharePoint web parts and the embed.
Cool. So in our use case, we're really about building external communities.
Which is awesome.
Manager is bringing people in from outside. And I've always had a challenge of how do those people actually have conversations? Email's not the way to do it because membership changes and you want that organizational history as part of that. So yeah, excited to be able to use guest users as part of Viva Engage as well.
Yeah, and Viva Engage is, as you know, all about connecting people across business silos and across teams and working groups. So when you're able to extend that to include people who are outside of your organization, customers, partners, event attendees, whatever the scenario might be, you are really leveraging the power of Viva Engage to capture conversation and transfer knowledge and experience. It's, I think, a fantastic scenario.
Cool. And you had a chance yesterday, we sat down, I kind of showed you what we're planning on doing with Debbie Ireland's conference down in New Zealand and Australia. You've spoken in past years.
I have, and Debbie, I miss you. I wish I could join you in your conference. They're fantastic events, and I wish I could be there in August when the conference is happening in Australia, but yes, it's a fantastic one.
So we initially launched her Auckland conference. I actually went down, first time in New Zealand, never been, wonderful country.
Yes.
Right, and I spent 3.5 weeks touring around, which was great.
Nice.
And I'd actually just approached Debbie near the end of last year to say, I think it's a wild idea, why don't we run your conference, which is about Microsoft 365, on Microsoft 365, which seems obvious, but sometimes is a challenge. So
yeah.
How do we make that happen? We actually pulled it off. I literally spent the weekend before the conference at Debbie's house. She hosted Liz and I, and we did the final tweaks on the site and launched it up, and away we went. It was awesome.
That's fantastic, because of course in-person events are, the unique thing about in-person events is the in-person interaction.
Yes.
And if you can extend that to start before the event and continue after the event, you're really truly creating a community of engaged peers.
And that's really both Debbie and my vision of what we're trying to do, is to say, hey, it's 2 days in Auckland, it's 2 days in Melbourne. How do you build that longer community, and how do you get those conversations and networks going between speakers, attendees, exhibitors, and I'm really excited about Viva Engage. We didn't get it together for the Auckland conference. We just didn't have time to build out what we needed. We're hard at work now for the Auckland one in August. I'm really excited to launch that out. Actually, Debbie and I are doing a joint webinar May 9th next week. I'm looking to my staff to say, is it May 9th in Canada or is it May 9th in New Zealand?
That's
days.
True.
We picked an evening time here, so it actually hit prime time in Australia and New Zealand from that point of view. Just kind of pulling the covers back and showing how we pulled this all together.
Fantastic. That'll be a valuable session for folks.
Absolutely, and it's something actually we're getting our clients quite excited about. I was in Montreal last week presenting at a client forum. The organization's called the Municipal Benchmark Network. So they're a not-for-profit. Their members are large Canadian municipalities, City of Calgary, City of Regina, Sudbury, Hamilton, and how do they measure how they're doing? So they have hundreds of performance metrics. How long does it take to show up? How often you do garbage collection? All those kinds of things. The things you don't really think about that are so important, and collects them together into a data warehouse. And the idea is to say, who's doing well, who could learn, and how do we make that sharing and knowledge learning happen. So we've built groups for each of the expert panels. So Fire has a group, EMS has a group, and such from that. But right now, it's all email based. So trading information back and forth, and actually showed them Viva Engage and said, hey, if we built this online community, would you use it? And they're actually quite excited about the prospect around it. So
that's
launching that out.
Fantastic. Fantastic. And you know better than anyone, our Microsoft products don't make it particularly easy to bring people in from the outside of the organization. And so to have a tool that allows the organizer of such a endeavor to allow users to come in to manage that, so that potentially there might be workflows and approvals associated with it. That's a huge value add.